Today in the United States, we often think of ourselves as living in a democracy. But during the founding era, there was more emphasis on the fact that the United States was a republic. And there were certain ideals involved with living in a republic, the most important of which was living selflessly and devoting oneself to the common good. And a story from the Constitutional Convention helps to illustrate this point. After they had finally agreed to the Constitution, Benjamin Franklin left Independence Hall and met a woman on the street who asked him, "Well, Dr. Franklin, what do we have, a monarchy or a republic?" And he replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." And in this phrase, "if you can keep it," really speaks to what was expected of citizens in a republic, that they had to be vigilant and virtuous. They had to be active. And I think the American people, particularly in the early generations of the country, followed through on this. The vote that was given, particularly to white men for the first time, was exercised. People gathered in public places, debated politics, and read newspapers, unlike any other country in the Western world. In the 1790s, there were already more than 100 newspapers in the United States. By 1835, that number jumped all the way to 1,200. Every town had a newspaper, and there was certainly more than one reader for each paper that was printed. Another example of how Americans exercised their citizenship were democratic Republican societies. These were founded during the French Revolution in the 1790s, during the Washington administration, and they were generally supportive of Jefferson in his battle against Alexander Hamilton and John Adams. But it's an example of common people meeting and attempting to exercise their political will and express themselves politically in ways that they really hadn't during the colonial era. A crucial event in America's maturation as a republic was the election of Thomas Jefferson in 1800. This was the first peaceful transfer of power in the United States. Jefferson being a Democratic Republican, following the Federalist administrations of George Washington and John Adams. But it was by no means easy. One of the key events that helped Jefferson get elected was the Alien and Sedition Acts, passed in 1798 by Congress during the Adams administration. The Alien and Sedition Acts basically tried to punish the political opponents of the Federalists through a number of different ways. Aliens, meaning immigrants, had to stay in the United States longer before they had citizenship rights, including voting. Most voted Republican. They could be detained and deported by the administration. And the sedition part of the acts tried to really quash any criticism of the Adams administration. Well, there was a backlash against this legislation that helped Jefferson to become president in 1800. This marked really the end of the Federalist Party as a real strong influence on the national stage. They never won another presidential election. In his inauguration, Jefferson pronounced, "We are all Republicans, we are all Federalists," trying to create a sense of unity. But he could have just as well said, "We are all Republicans, we are all Republicans," because that was the true intention of the Democratic Republican Party at the time. And the Federalists, in a sense, made easy targets. They were out of step with the changing and increasingly democratic American nation. They detested the newspapers, the political societies, and the idea that common people could rule rather than elites.